Hello and welcome to my channel. If you just stumbled across this video, hi, it's so lovely to meet you. My name is Lisa, and if you are already an existing subscriber, then thank you so much for tuning in again. So a little bit of a different video today, and for many a lot of what I'm going to be talking about might be TMI. It's not that it's going to be inappropriate, but maybe kids, younger generation don't really want to hear about this, but I wanted to share my experience of having a Mirena coil. So I had a Mirena coil fitted. It will be, I think, 2 years this summer I had it fitted. So I'll give you a bit of background. So I was taking estrogen and I was taking another drug as well. I can't remember what, but that was like a tablet form. And then the estrogen is a gel. I was prescribed both of those because I genuinely feel from around the age 40, I noticed a lot of changes within myself. And at the time, I didn't understand. I did go back and forth to doctors a few times and had like blood tests done. Nothing really flagged up. But yeah, I noticed that I started gaining a lot of weight. Now, around that time, I also started some new drugs. So I started taking a lifetime medication for migraines. I also started taking a lifetime medication for restless leg syndrome. So some of that weight gain could also be due to one of those drugs. Slowing down my metabolism, I don't know. But from 40 to me being now 47, I would say I've probably gained about 3.5 full stone, which I'd still say to this day, I'm not happy within myself, but it is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, I started noticing lots of changes. So obviously weight gain, and then I guess the main symptom that I kept experiencing was severe sweating. Now, I have never, ever been a sweaty person. When I first met my husband, was a gym addict, going 6 days a week. I never shed any sweat. And I know for a lot of people that is actually abnormal, but for me, it was normal. So to go from that to in warmer weather, sweating my backside off, and it's not even in the usual places. So I never sweat on my face, and I guess I am really lucky. I sweat my scalp a lot, underneath my boobs, butt cheeks, weird places, my back. I started sweating loads, and it started to make me feel really uncomfortable within myself, and I would overheat really quickly. So I think classic kind of perimenopause, menopause symptoms is that you have this hot flush within your face. Mine is literally my whole body, and I can go from being normal to extremely overheating, and I feel really, really panicky about it. And then in summertime, it was just becoming an absolute nightmare, and kind of felt like it was taking over my life to a degree. It was horrible. I would get up from a seat and I would leave like a sweaty patch on a seat. It was horrible and embarrassing, and I just hated it. And then I was eventually put on HRT at, I think it was 45, because, and it's so wrong, and I think things are starting to change, but back then, and it might still be the same, until you reach 45, they won't take a woman seriously, with being in perimenopause or menopause, which I think is absurd and disgusting, because I know for 5 years prior to that, I know I was definitely in perimenopause, 1000%. All of my symptoms, it was just horrific. Anyway, so I turned 45. I was then taken seriously and prescribed 2 HRT medications that you had to take alongside each other. So I did initially notice that the kind of like overheating and sweating thing calmed down loads. It didn't completely go away. But what I did notice was blood loss acceleration. So I was having the most severe heavy periods, like severe. Twice I completely bled through my clothing. One time, thankfully, was at home. And the second one, I near missed being out in public by an absolute, literally second. I was traveling home from somewhere. I got out of the car, got into the house. The second I got into the house, just this humongous gush and all over my clothes. It was horrific. And it ended up being to the point where I've used, again, TMI, I've used tampons my whole life, apart from when I very first started my periods. And it was so bad that I was having to use both, because a Super Plus was literally lasting me less than an hour. And with fear of bleeding through, I started using pads as well. That ended up feeling like it was completely controlling my life, to be honest with you. It was horrific. My PMS was awful. The job I was in, I couldn't necessarily use toilets, and I was out on the go. So there was a lot of stress attached to that as well, because it got to a point where I felt like I always needed to have a toilet really close by. It was just a horrible time. So because of the excelled blood loss, I was then referred to gynecology, where a hysteroscopy was arranged. I think to begin with, I had ultrasound scans done, which was confirming that the lining of my womb was thickened. I then had the hysteroscopy. So when I went to the hospital, the lady that did the hysteroscopy was very blunt, very matter of fact. There was no what felt like care or understanding. Bear in mind, she's a woman as well. It was all very matter of fact, almost like I felt like a production line, that the whole thing needed to be really, really quick because she had another person coming in. The healthcare assistants were lovely, really caring, constantly checked that I was okay, all those kinds of things. But she was very blunt, very matter of fact. So before I had the hysteroscopy done, I had what I call mini consultation done, because it did feel like it was like, ooh, really fast paced. Let's boom, 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 get this out, discuss what we need to discuss, make decisions you need to make, blah, blah, blah. So she said to me that when I was having the hysteroscopy, it might be that I may need a Mirena coil fitted. How do you feel about that? And I was like, well, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. The doctor's mentioned it quite a few times, and I am saying to feel like at times my GP was a sales lady is an understatement. I really felt like she was getting something out of me having a Mirena coil. There must be something with the NHS, whether they're working at overall costs of other things, and the Mirena coil is cheap, I don't know. But there is something and a reason why GPs are pushing Mirena coil, because every time I went to do with anything to do with perimenopause or bleeding, anything, any issues to do with that, it was always, every time, the Mirena Coil. And at the time, I just didn't fancy it, to be honest with you. I'd read up quite a lot about the Mirena Coil. And a lot of negativity, people saying that it hurt, having it put in, having it taken out. And out of choice, who wants to put themselves through pain? I know I don't. So at the consultation, I was just like, I'm not sure. My GP's mentioned it quite a few times, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all right. Well, carry on thinking about it. And, I can still do it after the hysteroscopy. So I had the hysteroscopy done. It's not a horrific procedure, but it is uncomfortable. It's not nice. You've obviously got your legs up in stirrups. You feel really exposed. There's a woman literally sat on a seat, eye view of your bits and bobs. It's not nice. It's, more embarrassing and uncomfortable than a smear test. But it needs to be done. So I had the hysteroscopy done, and then she basically told me that the lining, again, the same, the lining to my womb was on the thickened side. And she said there and then, literally just like landed on me, she basically said that the medication that I had been prescribed for HRT was accelerating blood loss. Now, looking back at that, I just think that women are so misinformed. I don't really regret taking HRT because I know that the overall effects, are amazing, and it's a good thing to do it before you hit menopause. I don't regret taking it at all, but why aren't GPs giving you all this informed information that it can excel blood loss? And it's not just me. I have a friend that's gone through the same thing. Why are they not telling people? It's my body. I deserve to know what could happen, what the side effects could be. So yeah, I that bit I'm not happy about, because women should be told everything. Anyway, so she's finishing the hysteroscopy. She tells me that obviously the HRT has excelled blood loss. Bear in mind, you're led there in what feels like a really vulnerable situation, and then you're just being landed with this information. And not only am I landed with that information, she basically says to me, as blunt as, the only way to stop this is you've got two choices. You either come off HRT, or you have a Mirena Coil fitted, which is going to stop the heavy bleeding. So I'm led there on the table, and I'm like, I don't know. All these things are going through my mind. I feel really massively rushed. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm led here at the moment. Now, if I'm going to have it done, I might as well have it done now, because, if I go away and then book an appointment with GP, then I'm probably not likely to do it. So all these things are going through my mind, and obviously my main concern is about it hurting. So I said to her, yeah, I can have it done, but I'm, is this going to hurt? I'm really worried about how much it's going to hurt. So she turns around to me and she says, look, you've just had a hysteroscopy done, but I'm saying it in a nice way. She was a blunt way. It's no more painful than a hysteroscopy. So I just said, yeah, okay, I'll have it done. She lied. it's way more painful than hysteroscopy, to be quite honest. And I'm led there just thinking, you cow, you've literally just lied to me. Like, this is way more painful than hysteroscopy. And then when I first had it done, a mix of emotions. And then afterwards, she just kind of like buggered off into her office, which was to the side of the room that I had the hysteroscopy. And then I started to feel a little bit funny. I think it was because I was thinking about what they'd done, because I'm not really a queasy person, but I think in my head I kept thinking about what they'd done, and then that was making me feel really weird. So the lady got me like a drink of water. I didn't faint or anything like that. I just felt funny. They were really, really lovely. Even actually when I was having the procedure, both procedures done, they were the only ones asking if I was okay, deep breathing, all of that sort of stuff. I was given a booklet and then sent on my way. So I started reading the booklet when I got home. It was basically saying that you can experience spotting to begin with, and even after that, when it's essentially that time of the month, you can still get occasional spotting. I did feel a little bit traumatized by that whole thing. And then when I came away, then that thing of thinking, shit, that thing's inside of me. And I've only got, I can't remember how many years it is. If it stays in for 3 or 5, I think, for use with like hormonal. I'm not sure if it's 3, I can't remember. But then I remember thinking, great, this thing's now got to come out. And what I had read up before was that apparently it's more painful taking it out than what it is putting it in. And it was not nice having it put in. So after that, I started reading more into it. And there's a lot of people in the UK that are starting petitions and things for women to have this done under either sedation or local anaesthetic. In the US, they don't perform this with no drugs. And that in itself kind of made me think, okay, if, other countries feel that this needs to be done with a form of pain relief, then that means that they are registering that this is a painful procedure. Why in the UK are women just having it done with nothing? And not only that, being misled that this isn't, I wouldn't even bordering on painful procedure. I'd say, I think I do have fairly high pain threshold. I've had 3 babies and I've only had gas and air. I do feel like I've got a high pain threshold. So I would say hugely uncomfortable, bordering on painful. It's just not a nice procedure. So, oh gosh, excuse me. So I had this done maybe in the May or June. And I was told I would bleed for, I think it's something like the first 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. This is probably the part that you're going to be listening to, anyone considering this and thinking, nah, not having that. I basically bled for 6 months. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't, heavy periods or anything, but it was constant for 6 months. I've now had it in, like I said, it'd be 3 years coming up. I very occasionally have some light spotting. All of my heavy periods have gone. If we're looking at a whole, the pros and the cons, I'm glad I had it. And that's saying something. I'm glad I had it, because I now feel like completely the other side. I no longer have those awful heavy periods that affect you in so many ways. It was getting to a point where I felt like, and my periods were lasting 7, 8 days. I was basically feeling like I constantly had periods, and they were to the point of ruining, and I'm not being extreme, it felt like it was ruining my life. It was horrific. Now, I don't have any of that. It's not necessarily the easiest road to get to that point, but I'm so glad I did it. My friend doesn't want to have that procedure done, and that's fair enough, but still suffers with the heavy bleeding, and I'm just so glad that I don't, because it was just horrific, absolutely horrific. But why is that not explained? Why is it not explained when you start HRT is a high probability of that happening? Why is that not discussed? I don't get it. I don't know, I just feel that it's my body. I deserve and have the right to know all the implications of taking a drug, how it's going to make me feel, the negatives, the positives. Why as a woman taking a drug that many people take, why was I not informed? And that's the bit that I guess I'm not happy about. And I don't like how procedures are completely played down. Obviously for me, I don't regret having the Mirena Coil at all. I do still worry about the day that I've got to have this thing taken out. I do worry about that. And yeah, that's going to come round very quick, isn't it? I'm sure it's either 2 years this year or 3 years. I do have a card. They give you a card showing the date that you had it done. So I need to look at that card. It's either 2 years this year or 3 years. It might be 2. I don't know. Time just flies, doesn't it? But yeah, I really wanted to share my experience, a little bit of a different video. But if this helps somebody make an informative choice for themselves, then, I'm glad that I've helped. Each to their own. Every woman is entitled to make a decision for themselves and their own body. For me, overall, I'm glad that I've had it done. I do hope that this has helped somebody, or that you found it interesting. Very different video for me today, but there's nothing wrong with changing up a bit and putting something slightly different out there, and also sharing your experience, which I think in life is worth its weight in gold. I think sometimes it's better to hear it from somebody than reading up information. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, everyone, and I will see you really soon in my next video. Bye.